So today, what are we looking at? We are looking at a Elgin pocket watch. Now, a lot of people have said to me, Elgin, used to say Elgin. We have an Elgin Street where I live. We have an Elgin Street Theater. Everyone calls it Elgin, but I is up in Canada, eh? And in Canada, we call it Elgin. In the US, they call it Elgin. So because my primary viewers of my videos are in the US, I'm actually going to change it to Elgin. So we have an Elgin pocket watch here. It's a gorgeous pocket watch. It was provided to me by a gentleman named BJ, and he has a few watches he wants me to look at. This one here was having problems with bead air, and maybe some other things. So he asked me if I could have a look at this watch and see if I could make it run a little more accurate. But first, let's have a look at the movement. So what do they say? Pop the hood. Now, I've already done this, so I don't have to worry about that. This is definitely white glove treatment today. So we're getting the white glove treatment with this watch, and it's well worth it. Let me see if I can get my fingernail under there. Yep. So gorgeous, gorgeous pocket watch. Just a gorgeous pocket watch. There it is there. Look at that. So that is an Elgin Veritas. Veritas. Probably other pronunciations, but it would be a Veritas, which might mean something other than I think. But Elgin Veritas, it's a grade 214. It was produced in 1904, so that's quite a while ago, and that was the run for this particular batch was 1,000, and it was 8 of 22 runs, and they produced 24,000 of these altogether. It's a size 18 pocket watch, very big, very large pocket watch, and that was the size of the day in 1904. And the jewel material is rubies, and it's got raised gold settings. So all these settings you see, get my tweezers out here so I can point at things. These are the settings that we're looking at here, and these settings are all gold, so they're raised gold settings in here. It looks like one of the settings might have been replaced. This setting looks different than these ones here, so they might have replaced a setting here. And it looks like this is a rose gold as well on the top of the balance cock, just above the top jewel or the upper jewel. And there's a jeweled barrel on this watch as well, which is kind of cool. And you really got to watch when you're stripping this down that you take care of those screws. I've had to replace screws on jeweled bearings before, and it's a lever set watch and a 3/4 plate. There is a double roller in this watch, and it's the double roller that's part of the underneath the balance, and we'll have a look at that after. It's a jeweled motor, as I said already, and the balance jewel, the material in the jewel for the balance is actually diamond, which is very interesting, very hard. So that would be hard on the pivot. And then the train is a quick train, and the train material is gold. So as you see, it would have referred to, I think, that the actual wheels in the train have a gold plating or flashed gold in there, and it's a traveling nut regulator. So as you can see right here, you take a toothpick and you move this, you inch that nut, and it'll go along this screw, and it's just a screw, right? And you inch the nut, and it'll move the arm here left or right to regulate the watch for slower or faster. And again, if you want to speed up a watch, you're moving the regulator. These pins right here would be moving closer to the collet on the end. So, and these are regulation pins, and then the hairspring goes in between those, and then it virtually lengthens the hairspring, and if you move it the other way, this way, it shortens the hairspring. So that's how you regulate this watch. It's got a straight line escapement on it. The The pallet jewels are sapphire. That's on the pallet fork down in the middle there. You can just barely see it operating, but those are sapphire pallet jewels. It has been adjusted, and it's been adjusted to 5 positions. It's been adjusted to temperature, and it's been adjusted to isochronism. Now I know I think I'm going to try to explain this, but someone will correct me, I'm sure. So there's 2 parts of material on the balance, an inner and outer part, and this prevents the outer part is a different type of metal than the inner part, and when it shrinks, the other one expands. When the other one expands, this one shrinks, and it basically tries to keep the actual diameter of the balance the same by not allowing any expansion or contraction due to temperature change. It is a railroad grade watch, and what this means again is that these watches had to be precise enough to use in the railroad system in the U.S. and in Canada actually as well. And the railroad grade watches were, I think I've seen it like 15 seconds, plus or minus 15 seconds a week, but I think that's pretty extreme. But who knows? So anyway, these are railroad grade pocket watches, and it's lever set, which means when I open the front of the watch there, you'll see a lever to pull out, and that's so the train engineer or whatever would set that, or be an individual responsible for setting the watch and giving the watches out to all the folks that work on the railroads. And this is to make sure that they didn't the times weren't off, and there wouldn't be a major accident with the railroad. So it's a Veritas Elgin 3, it says Elgin 3 USA, and that's the movement. So it's quite a beautiful movement. This would be valued at somewhere around $600 or $700, maybe US, maybe more. I'm not sure, but I looked up the serial number and I could look up the relative value of it. The case is a 14 karat gold plated. Let me see. It's a fine hard metal. Yeah, so it's OF 14 karat gold over fine hard metal. So it's 2 plates. So it's guaranteed to be made of 2 plates. And the guarantee is for 20 years. And that would mean that within a 20-year period, you would not see any wear on the case itself in 20 years. So and it's got a nice dust cover here that you'd put over like this, and then press that down. I'm not going to press that down right now. And there's the cover itself as well. It's a Duber case, Dueber case. Again, gorgeous. Canton, Ohio, USA. So made in the U.S. These are just gorgeous watches, worth the white glove treatment. The case is in mint shape, and there's also some engraving on the case as well. And there's a spot here that if you were to give this watch to somebody, like myself, that's a joke by the way, you'd put the person's initials in here on the back here. That's why they leave this little spot open there. And there's no dents or damage or anything on this case, so this is in mint condition. And as I said, it's lever set, so when you open the watch at the top here, and you take the crystal off basically, and this is actually a pop-off crystal, so it's not meant to turn off. So let me just open this up, and we'll have a look at the lever setting mechanism. All right, so this is the crystal on top here. So this is, you push that down and then snap it into position, and then there's the lever setting mechanism here. So this lever is pulled out to set the watch. I'm going to try to do this with pliers, see if I'm successful or not. So you pull that out, and then it snaps into place, and then you set the time. I'm unsuccessful with pliers. I think I may have to take off my white glove to do this properly. But you would do this and then pull it just a bit, and that would put it in a set position. So it doesn't want to seem to do it right now, but I don't want to force it. So we'll just, as you can see, that's the lever setting mechanism, and then you pull that out, and then it would set the watch. So it's strange that it doesn't want to pull it out. So I'll check that after, but probably not an issue at all. It might just be my fingers. Anyway, it's running. It's running with pretty strong amplitude. So I'm going to check and see what I can do regarding the beat error, and see if I can improve the beat error on this watch at all. So you just open this up again, have a look, and if you have a look at that watch swinging away, if I were to take a shot of that in slow motion, it's well over 300 degree swing, which is well over 180 degree amplitude, and I'll try to improve that if I can. And I'm not sure how much dirt is in there, and I'm going to have a look at this under my stereo microscope as well to make sure there aren't any issues there as well, and then do a full service on that. And I'll be recording the service as well. It's going to be nerve-wracking, but I'll record it anyway because I told BJ I was going to do that, and it'd be good for him to actually have a video of his watch being taken apart, which is kind of cool. Anyway, it's an Elgin. See, I said it right. Elgin, tomato, potato. Orient. Those are the words you can try out. So Elgin pocket watch, size 18, 23 joules. So I don't know if I've ever worked on a 23 joule pocket watch. It's a gorgeous piece. So just stay tuned, and I'm going to test how accurate this watch is in a few seconds. So let's drop the box in the amazing. I just made another YouTube video on this thing. The amazing box of silence. So again, I've got different tools. I'm going to try this out to actually time a watch. This is a microphone, again, from an iPhone, and it works really well. So you'll be able to see the signal pumping through. So I'll just lay this. This is plastic, so it's not going to hurt the movement at all. And I'll have to put this pennant upside down like that, and then put that in like this and see if I can get a signal from there. And then this, I should be able to just close this down, and just for extra added protection, as they say, I'm just going to put a sponge on top like that, and then I'm going to start my escapement analyzer software, which is probably the most expensive software you can buy for watchmaking. Just a note. So we'll start that up, and we'll get the watch in the first position. Alright, so I've got the software running right now. This is the watch escapement analyzer and timer. It's called e-timer, and I have this Invicta watch. This Invicta watch should be set at 18,000 beats per hour, or vibrations per hour. So I just set that like that, and there's my signal, and it looks pretty steady in the middle. That'll more than likely, I've got it so it'll readjust to the center. So and I have to look at this and make sure that I've got the high pass filter on here, and I've got amplitude averaging. I can turn it off. I like to do it off when I do the watch in 5 positions. I've got the tape running here, so you can actually see the beat error on the tape. So the tape is on. I can clear the tape and then start it again. So I get the tape on. Tapes will run, continue to run automatically after I've cleared it. I can do all kinds of stuff here. So I'm going to average in positions as well. It'll tell me to do dial up, dial right, I believe, and then dial down, and then pennant down and pennant up. So dial right, I guess. So those are the positions. So I'm going to stop this. I'm just going to see if I can cancel that. Can I cancel that? I think I can cancel it. There we go. So that's canceled. So let's close the door on this, and there we go. It's nicely snugged in this box. So right now it's dial up. Make sure the wire is over here. So there we go. I should actually put a little less material because it seems to be pushing it a bit too much. So I'm just going to put one of these in here, so it's a little bit less. There we go. So that's now dial up position. So and it should settle down to its rate with the dial up. in a few seconds. So if I turn on averaging as well, it'll average the numbers out, and just you can click averaging on over here, and then it's going to average out the numbers, so it's a little smoother. That's amplitude averaging here, and then it's got a beat error averaging as well. So it's trying to pick up the beat error, and the amplitude's about 211, which is not too bad. Anything over 200 for a really old watch is not bad. That means it's got a swing of 400 degrees, which is pretty exceptional actually. And the rate's kind of all over the map right now. Again, it's an older watch, so it's trying to figure out where it is. I'll look at the waveform sometime when it's centered, and I'll see whether the waveform is moving left or moving right relative to the markers here. So if I look at this at the edge of the waveform here, and I can see that I've got a marker right there, and I can actually see whether that's going left or right. I can tell whether the watch is actually drifting. Is it going faster or slower? If it's moving this direction, actually to the right, it's going slower. If it's moving to the left, it's going faster. And I have to set the threshold on this as well. So I like to set the threshold high, and then adjust. I've got the boost up a bit too high on this, so I can turn that down now. And I've just you can't see that on the right hand side, but I'm adjusting the boost, which is effectively adjusting how much additional gain I can apply. I've got what called automatic mic control here, so I can go down to nothing, or I can just set it like this. So there we go, and there's the amplitude of 307 degrees. That's phenomenal amplitude, and that's averaged out. The beat error is a bit off. It's 5.74, but the rate is pretty darn good. 6 seconds, 7 seconds averaged out. So that's an excellent rate on this, but the beat error is off. So to correct the beat error on this watch, I need to adjust the hairspring on it and move the hairspring collet either left or right to make sure that the impulse jewel is dead center with the banking pins and with the escapement. So I'm measuring a line from where the impulse jewel is at rest, and then from there it should be dead center of the banking pins. And this just means that when the watch goes tick and it accelerates in one direction, say counterclockwise, and it goes say 200 degrees, and it accelerates in the other direction 200 degrees, it's fundamentally the same, right? So you're not giving any advantage, because of a beat error of 4.9 milliseconds means that there's more angle on one side than there is on the other when the balance is rotating. So that's the best explanation I think I can give. I'm sure Mark or some of the other guys out there would give a better explanation, or I could read it from a book. See, the amplitude's down to 299, which is still an amazing amplitude for an older watch like this. So let me stop the run here, and I'll do a positional run on it, and then we'll check the data down here, and we'll see what that looks like. So let me just stop this for a second, like that. And then I want to do a positional run, so I want to do positional averaging. So let's start that up, and this is the dial up position. So it's stabilizing in position 1, dial up. So it's I'll be able to hit start, and that's going to be measuring the amplitude of that. So amplitude and the rate, obviously. So it's seconds per day, and it'll average the data out. So if you look down here, it may not be super clear on the video, but down below here, you're starting to see some data here as well. So you end up with it shows you the vibrations per hour, or the beats per hour down here, 18,994, and it just varies a bit down here. I've put a lift angle of 52 degrees in here for lever escapement, and I've got the data's picking up here. So the second position it pops up with is pennant right. So I've got as you saw, the dial is in the upward position right now, so I just have to turn the watch like this, and that's pennant right. And I'll start that again. I just hit run. and that'll run for I think it's 30 seconds, maybe a little less, but it's going to see if it picks it up, and I can see the amplitude. I'm just going to have to lower this a bit so it picks up the right amplitude. It looks like it's running faster in this position because you can see the waveform actually jogging over to the left, which is not good. So I'm going to just put more amplitude on the waveform. So that was that. So let's just do dialed down now. So I'm going to take this box again here, and I can put it down. So just move it all the way around this way here, and so that would be dialed down position there. It's nice cozied in there nicely. So dial down, and I hit run, and because of my noiseless box I can actually talk while I'm doing this. As you see, that's fairly stable, a little bit better than when it was sideways. So it looks like it's running fast in this position, but it's jogging all over the map here. So it's fast, slow, fast, slow. Beat error is 6.81. So you have to get the beat error right before you're going to get the rate properly. So I think BJ was correct when he said, hey, I think there's a problem here with the beat error. So I'm going to see if I can correct that. It's tricky because you don't know whether you need to rotate the collet for the hairspring clockwise or counterclockwise. So it's kind of a trial and error, but I'll undo it. I'll look at where the hairspring stud is in relation to the impulse jewel when it's at rest, and see if I can figure out whether it's left or right. So right now it wants pennant down. So the pennant, basically where you wind the watch, so that is right now the face is up. So pennant down would be in this position right here. So let's pin it down. So let's run this again and see what we get. So I love the fact that this new soundproof box from one of those, it's from the game shows, I think, is a soundproof box. So To Tell the Truth, I think, was the name of the game show. So you can see it sort of riding over to the left, the signal, and that means it's running fast. It's running really fast, pin it down actually. So, and now it wants me to place it in pin it up position. So I just have to flip this around like so, and this would be pin it up position, like that. And this is the last reading. So I'll run this and see what it shows. And now it looks like it's going slow and pin it up. As you can see, the waveform right here is going towards the right, and that means the watch is running slow. So all the data is being collected here, as you can see up top here. Pin it down, dial down. So now it wants me to save this. Last thing I did was the Omega Pocket Watch, so I'll just write over that and write Elgin. So that's Elgin Veritas. V-E-R, how do you spell Veritas, folks? V-E-R-I-T-A-S. Elgin Veritas. So it wouldn't, let me see, hang on a second here. Gotta get my text back in here. V-E-R-I-T-A-S, and I'll just put BJ so I know the owner of the watch. I don't need a title or comments or anything else on the table, so I'll just hit go. And if you look down here, see if I can see what I'm seeing. So so dial down the rate. The rate was -9 seconds per day. Amplitude 306 was actually excellent. And the dial up, sorry. Amplitude 306, the beat error is 4.52 and 32.80 seconds to stabilize that signal. So once it gets a stable signal in there, I think it varies how long this will run for. But and then pin it right was really fast, so 336.68 was a very high rate, and we lost a little bit of amplitude there, and the beat error stayed pretty much the same. And then when I did dial down, the watch started running faster. I guess what you could think there is that the dial down would be the upper jewel that the pivot is in, and the pivot in the upper jewel might be cleaner than the pivot in the lower jewel, because this 9.73 dialed down, or sorry, dial up, would mean that the balance staff pivot would be the lower pivot, and it would be slower in that position than in this position. So it might drag. So you may get a drag on that. And in this position here, there is absolutely no drag. Of course, I could be wrong, because if you look at the amplitude's 306, and the amplitude with dial down is 295. So one would think that you get a better amplitude because the pivot on the bottom is cleaner, right? And that's like the Princess Bride movie. That's inconceivable. That's it. What you think the poison is in my cup, and I think the poison is your cup. You think that I think the poison is in your cup. Inconceivable. Anyway, that's my impression of the guy from Princess Bride. Kind of love that movie too. So anyway, there could be one or two of these jewels that are more dirty than the other one, causing that. So as well, the gear train is now there's a end shake on the gears, and the gear train in one direction could cause more friction than in the other direction. So when you oil the gears and you oil the jewels, then the gear train will sit on that jewel and will have the same amount of friction upper and lower, depending on your the consistency of the oil and actually the level of the jewels. If the jewels are completely level, then they're going to ride in there well, right? So, and as you can see, it's pretty good with dial down. So dial up and dial down are pretty good. Pennant down is not so good. It's gaining 216 seconds per day, right? So that's quite a lot. So that's a couple of, my math tells me it's a couple of minutes. Someone said, don't do public math, it's embarrassing. So anyway, my public math says that 6 times 6 is something like, I don't know, 58, 32, 49. What do you do when you have 6 times 6? I know 4 times 6 is probably more than 2 times 6. Anyway, so I'm having fun. So anyway, that's running pretty fast. It's a couple minutes a day. That's not too good. It's like 4 minutes a day. So, and then penning up is running super slow. So when the watch is just hanging there on a chain, the thing is losing time. But the amplitude is really good. So it's almost as good as the dial down amplitude. So, and again, but the beat errors are terrible for pennant down and pennant up. So anyway, in general, it looks at the deltas then and does an average. So it says that there's a delta of 607 seconds per day, and that's from the lowest value, the negative value, to the highest value, which would be 336. So that's rate. That's a rate delta, and then rate delta equals the rate equals, and the rate delta is 29 seconds per day. But what do we got here? The amplitude delta is 46 degrees between the lowest and highest amplitudes. So the means, that's like an average, except someone with a statistics degree described to me the difference between the mean and average, but I took electrical engineering and I hated statistics, even though I use it a lot at work now. So the rate is actually plus 58 seconds per day. So on average, if a person is wearing the watch and putting it down and then lifting it up again and putting it in their drawer and then all that kind of stuff, you're going to be seeing around 58 seconds per day of gain, right? So it's almost a minute a day. So I could probably improve that. Your beat error is around 6.18 milliseconds, which means one side is swinging further than the other side, right? And again, the only way to correct that is by jogging the hairspring collet clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on where that beat error is. And when you move that collet, you just barely move it, and that will correct the beat error. So that's probably the first thing I'm going to do to try to make it after I clean the watch to get the watch running a little bit better than that. The average amplitude is 293, and that's actually pretty good. That's very impressive. So that's the data we got so far on this beautiful watch. So let's have one more look at it, and then I'll end the video. The best way to end this video is with a close-up of the movement. So So this is again a gorgeous movement. Gold settings on the movement. A jeweled barrel, which is incredible. Less friction, the better. Rolled gold, 2 plates of gold, it says. So double-plated gold case. Just a gorgeous watch. It's the Elgin Veritas pocket watch, which is amazing. So we'll be repairing this watch. I'll be making a video on I'd say not repairing it, cleaning it and regulating it. And I'll make a video on how I do that and share that with you folks out there. Hope you enjoy it. Hope BJ's happy to see the inside of his watch and a quick assessment of its accuracy. And we'll go for the second phase and get the work done.